there are three perceptions, right? Your perception of your product, the customer's perception of your product, and then the market's perception of your product, right? So the first two things you can easily get. The third thing is very, very hard to find and measure, right? So one thing I would always have is I will have a line of reference. I'll put it in ChatGPT and then I'll ask it to validate my hypothesis. Once it's validated, I would say, okay, now play the devil's advocate.
We do is that we get that generated from AI and then we verify everything with the competitor pages to see if these are the topics that they're also covering. Is there something extra there that they haven't covered we could add into it?
If we know what we need, we can make the chat GPT or other AI tools work for us. So knowing what we need is one thing that is setting humans apart from AI.
What I've understood is AI is powerful, but in parts. You will never be able to do everything with AI at once, but you can split it in smaller chunks and then you ask smaller questions. You put it together as a human, then it's a great work.
Based on all of this and based on your experience with using AI, what are some tips you would give to any new product marketers or any product marketers right now? Hi everyone, welcome to SalesIQ's Actionable Insight series. So today we've got an interesting topic and a very interesting couple of people with us today as well. I'm Vaughn Pinto, the social media marketer for Zoho SalesIQ and also the part-time designer here as well. Now, AI has been the buzzword for the past couple of years. And wherever we go, whatever we do, AI, that word has been in the forum no matter what. And we have heard it quite a bit and we have heard quite a few use cases about it as well. And when it comes to seeing that in action, especially as marketers, and when we do ask anyone about it, we don't really get any real-time actionable insights. So I myself as a marketer, I am joined by a product marketer, a content marketer, a designer, and a digital marketing expert. I'm here to learn what they're doing, how they're doing it, and how we are going to imbibe that in our marketing ventures. So yes, thank you everyone for joining us today. So I hope everyone's doing good, and we have been joined by quite a bit of fog today. I'm sure this part will be cut from the webinar. So yeah, let's ease into it. So when we are going to talk about the webinar, what we are going to talk about today, the first question that I like to ask everyone here is, what is your normal marketing routine like? Such as the metrics you're responsible for, and how have you incorporated AI into it? Such as you can mention the tools you're using and the automations that you set using AI.
I work at Prudent AI, right? So we are a category creator in the fintech market in the US lending space. So it's a fair early stage startup, right? Where we are just setting up everything from the scratch. So, like whether the blog ideation or even as from product marketing perspective or even as, how do I position or amplify what the product does? AI is like, my next buddy that helps me, does everything in a single shot, right? So for example, the first thing I open when I open my laptop every single day is ChatGPT and Claude. I really can't live without it, right? And it has become a part of my daily life in such a way that I speak more to ChatGPT and Claude than I do with my peers or co-founders. Yeah. So like be it from blog ideation or even to content distribution or like repurposing content, they are an integral part of my day-to-day work style. Yeah.
Say the things that I'm responsible for is generating website traffic and leads and all the digital marketing activities related to the products that I handle. So yeah, have incorporated AI right into our process, right? As she said, right? The most of the keyword research, right? Keyword research, AI plays a major role in keyword research. So we were using AI in all the things and also content creation plan. So whenever we give, say, suggestions to the people, to the product marketers, we go to the help of AI. So we make use of, say, ChatGPT, Perplexity, all the available AI tools. So that's what, that is one of the main criteria, in the sense, main aspect of using AI into our digital marketing. And apart from that, right, we have our as you know, the Zoho Analytics tools. So it has its own AI features. So that uses the numbers and analytics, the reports, data crunching, everything. So when we ask Zia, it will do all the work for you. Say, giving data crunching, interpretation, giving the data and the number of the formats that we require. So that is another one thing. And if you look at the other ad platforms, right? Say that ad platforms that we use, right? Google Ads, Bing Ads, and Captra, whatever we use, they come up their own, say, AI capabilities or AI features. So that's what our work is. So understanding those platforms really well and making use it for our own products, right? That's what the part of my work is. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned using AI for keyword research, right? So this is for myself as well. Which AI platform would you suggest for keyword research?
See, I told you, right? I had to use multiple platforms.
So it's a bit of a...
So yeah, right now I'm using Perplexity in a yeah.
It's a bit. Okay.
Yeah. So I think as a product marketer, one of the key metrics that I track on a regular basis is sort of sitting on web analytics and understanding the complete website traffic, like which page are people, are visitors going to, and also looking at page sense and all of that, and sort of understanding how much time are they spending at each section, and also which of our pages is driving higher traffic. Because as a smaller product, I think our main area of focus is always in organic traffic, and I think in Zoho also there's this sort of importance that we give to organic traffic as well. So in that sense, that's where I spend a lot of time in terms of tracking metrics. And I think in terms of AI, there are two places where there's one more content writer on my team. So it's the two of us mostly working on a lot of the marketing related content and stuff like that. So I think two areas where we use it is number one, sort of trying to get a page architecture done. So if we have like a particular set of keywords, we want to know what are the combinations, or what sort of headlines, what sort of H2, H3s and all of that we can give for a particular page. So that's one area where we use AI. And of course, I think our usage is very preliminary at this stage, because what we do is that we get that generated from AI and then we verify everything with the competitor pages to see if these are the topics that they're also covering. Is there something extra there that they haven't covered, we could add into it. So there's nothing as such from AI that we use exactly as it is. All of it is being again put through another round of verification, put through another process of, or put through another analysis before we arrive at the final conclusion. And I think the second place where we use AI, or at least where our team is concerned, is generating summaries. I think that's where we find it to be the most useful, because if we have like a 1,000-word blog and we'd like to just generate key points from that blog into like a 200 word summary or something like that. So I think for that, it's been really effective for us. It saves a lot of time, because for us to like go through that and then come up again with the key points, generating that from AI does save us a lot of time. So these are the two main areas where we've been using AI, I think. And also, I think, as Vicky said, keyword research, it really helps. I mean, we do have analysts and teams helping out, but at the same time, as product marketers, we also have to like sit and do our own research and to sort of sit and understand, if there are any possibilities that we are missing out in terms of keywords. There's multiple combinations that we can try even for a single page. Is there something that we are missing out? Because when we do it, we tend to be like, okay, this. But then when we put it through AI, there's 10 other possibilities. Again, we do analyze, verify, and then decide which one to go ahead with. But just in terms of the possibilities that it generates, I think that's where it's very confirmed.
Yeah, I think in terms of marketing and what they spoke, they're using new tools, right? But then when it comes to design, AI has been there for so long, because like even if you would have used Photoshop like 10 years ago, there was a tool called Content-Aware Fill, which, so for example, if you have to extend the sky, you design, you understand, right? So you have to extend the sky, you have to do it manually. and then came an area where you can just extend the canvas and then you can fill it with AI, or it was not called AI, technically machine learning or something. Now you can actually prompt and ask for a sky, right? So technically, our workflow hasn't changed in AI, but the tools has changed. Or let's say every tool that we use has a part of AI that is incorporated newly. That actually makes our work easier. So as I told you, we use Adobe Photoshop for image generation and things like that. And if you want to create something from scratch, then we go to Midjourney. So in terms of design as part of marketing, we've been using AI for a long time, and now it's making our work even easier because, like let's say, if you want to prompt something and get to understand what a marketer is trying to tell us, right? So, for example, all the blogs that we create are very technical, at least inside my process we work. So to understand as a non-technical person was hard, but now I can actually just get the gist of what the marketer is thinking, and then if I prompt, I get some idea of what that is. So is it a server? Is it a whatnot? And then from there we can actually build on top of it. So majorly we use in designing we use Midjourney and Photoshop.
That is true because even when I design, and sometimes when it comes to marketing, we do have to get really creative with what we do, right? And as the creatives, or when we do the creative, we always do suffer some blocks sometimes. And would you say that AI has helped us overcome those creative blocks by at least giving us a reference? Yeah, because well, we can't directly use AI, especially when it comes to design, because there will be characters with 7 fingers on one hand. That's it.
That was that's not now. At least that was like 5 months ago. But now, yeah, fingers is a lot better than AI. Yes. There's a very specific topic that's going on. Yeah. Okay. And one thing to add, right? So for example, the same thing goes with content. So when you actually when a marketer gives you a content or a copy for a ad, and we know the ad is going to be run in Facebook or in Instagram, but then yeah, normally they'll give a bigger version of it, and then the summarization of what she said actually helps in AI because now I can say, okay, make this in 6 words, and it actually does it. And yeah, technically, the English that a designer understands is very hard. The English that a marketer speaks is different. So now, even there, we don't have to wait till they actually respond back, so that we actually fill it with some placeholder content, which also makes sense. A lot of time it went into production or it was published, but then it helps us a lot to actually concise things or to expand things in that area and design.
Was to on the note of making things concise as well. I do agree with you on that because even I found myself using AI quite a bit because as a social media marketer, sometimes the actual content, the video won't get ready, but we will need to send things for approval to get them approved. So yeah, and at those times, I'll be needing these massive video scripts that will go on for 4 pages, 5 pages. I will be reading through all of that and coming up with a 5-line caption, or even a 5-line, a 2 sentence caption is quite difficult. So getting that summarized by AI does help a lot. Have you guys used in that manner?
Yes, summary is fine.
Summaries, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, typically, right, uh, I don't face customers on a day-to-day basis, right? So when my sales team gets into a call or when my co-founders get into a call, all I get is a phantom link, right, to listen to the calls. Some days, I'll be working on autopilot. I won't have time to listen to the calls. What I just do is, input the call, prompt the AI to, okay, what should I actually take from this, right? So it will beautifully summarize and give it to you. Okay, this is what the customer said. This is where he, this was his problem. This is where he praised your product. This is where your team committed to bringing it out in the next quarter. Okay, then I will know. Okay, so this needs to go into the product roadmap and factor it in. Yeah. So call recordings and summaries are like that runs on autopilot for me.
Oh, that is so. Now, when we were on the topic of things like both, such as summarying and using AI for references, and also expanding designs with AI, such as expanding AI Sky, let's talk about things that didn't really work with AI. Because one thing, a lesson that I learned the hard way was not to get stats from AI. Because I had to write a blog and I had to get a couple of stats for it. So let's say it was a very slow day for me, or I was just feeling slow that day. and I didn't really want to put in too much work. So I just went to AI. I said, hey, give me these stats. It gave me some amazing stats. I said, okay, fine, I'm sorted. But one of my colleagues also told me, hey, if you're using AI, just remember to check the source. So I said, okay, ChatGPT, give me the sources. And he said, sorry, I made them. Man. You can do it. I was like, okay, I'll just go to the 7th page of Google and get these stats from there. So have you guys had any situations like that where AI hasn't really worked?
Looking at you, Prob, because every time I try to prompt a basic visual, right, based on how I actually visualize it, I enter a descriptive, as much descriptive as I can. It didn't ask me to just give me a frame of reference to speak to my designer. Nope, never works, right? My hand sketches are like, it communicates better. So, prompting text to convert into a better visual using AI, that is something, it has never worked for me so far. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll add more on that when I talk with the new
Initial phase, right, that when AI was booming and all this, we were not sure whether to use AI or not in the first place, whether it is working well for us or not. So as you said, right, that it involves, say, it gives us first level of information. We have to, say, reaffirm or reconfirm the data that is there available, the information that is being put by the chat GPT or whatever the AI tools. That is one thing. But say, first we need to know, say, this is it was a learning for me. Say what things can also be done by AI. First, we have to segregate all those things. That was there in my mind. So once I all my routine, right, I'll jot down the points, right. So I see these works can be done with the help of AI. So I get used with AI in the sense I get used with the familiar with the tools and what can be done. So with that, I'm able to do that. The sense that was the myth in sense, right? AI was seems to be so distant in the initial days. Nowadays, it's like bread and butter. Right.
I think to add on to what Vicky said, so one of the things that didn't work for us when it came to AI is definitely some level of research, because I think you really have to. We all have to like just do our research, like do your usual, type things on Google, go through like 7, 8, or even 10 pages of Google before arriving at certain points, and then maybe you can get some help from AI to sort of put that into perspective or things like that. But I think otherwise. That's one part that does not work at all. Like trying to do your preliminary research or trying to sort of start off your research using AI is something that does not work at all. You might be able to get like a very, very basic list of websites to refer and things like that, but ultimately you have to go beyond that. So that's still something that I think as individuals we need to sort of put in that time, effort, read. Like at least for marketers, I think there's a lot of reading involved. Like there's really a lot of reading involved. I think half the day goes in just like reading so many articles and stuff like that. And I think that routine still shouldn't change, and that's not something we can designate to AI. Like go through everything and give us a gist of what's happening around the web is not something that we can designate to AI at all. It's something that you have to personally read, experience, think through, and then move on to AI. Yeah.
Yeah, adding to what Ranjani was saying, right? So prompting is actually easy if you understand the prompt. The first thing is you have to use a very older image generation model. So, for example, AI is all data, right? So for example, if you use the free Chat GPT, right, it doesn't give you that much clear content. But then if you use DALI, which is paid, because the model or the engine that's powering is actually more understandable of what you're prompting. So one thing that I've gotten around it, because now more than design, I actually try to use AI, because like like even companies are actually enforcing us or trying to see where all we can use AI. So let's say if I want to have an image like this, then what I'll do is I'll describe that image in ChatGPT, get it first clarified in English because my English is very bad, and then I take that and I go to Midjourney and even here, I'll say, okay, as a marketeer, this is what I think. I have to convey this to a designer who I need to get. So you have to give context to the prompt itself, and then finally say, make a prompt from this in Midjourney, and then copy this prompt in Midjourney and put it in Midjourney. It gives you much better output. So this is something that I have actually like where they started is yeah, suddenly this example comes to mind. So we actually did a campaign with Karnan as an example, right? So the last scene where Karnan is actually dying in the war field was the scene that we have to depict. And if like earlier what we used to do is we need to go to a designer, and then we need to do a sketch, and then finalize on the layout, and then we have to work on it, right? So we thought that'll take time. We don't have time. We have to do it really fast, and then we actually started prompting. And what we understood is, the more you add context to the first level of prompt, right? So for example, you give something in Midjourney, and then you have to reiterate it. If you copy, even if you copy that prompt and repaste it again, it doesn't understand the same context. So you actually slowly add more context to this, and finally we got a better image, or we got the output that we wanted, or the better output that we wanted. And even there is some restraints, because let's say there are a lot of guidelines that is wrote on top of ChatGPT itself, or on top of Midjourney itself, where it will not generate blood. It will not generate an arrow piercing through your chest. So, right, this is something we specifically prompted, and then we understood that this is actually part of the filter that Midjourney has by itself. And so like when you start prompting a lot, and when you start using AI a lot, you understand what their restrictions are, and then you have to work around it. So now we'll get the image, we'll add blood splatters later, and then arrows later. You can actually ask blood splatters separately to give you. You can ask arrow separately to give you in any angle you want. But then if you ask everything as one prompt, it won't give you. So what I've understood is, AI is powerful, but in parts. You will never be able to do everything with AI at once, but you can split it in smaller chunks, and then you ask smaller questions. You take it together, as she said, you put it together as a human, then it's a great work. It is a lot better than a normal designer. I must not say this, but I'm saying this. But then it is, you also have to get better at prompting, because or asking the AI what you want, because that's going to be the future.
Uh, a follow-up question to this, Prob, mainly from a layman's perspective, right? So today, if you look at image generated by Midjourney or DALI, and you look at like say a stock photograph, you can clearly see the disparity and difference, right? The stock photos look more human. It doesn't look like a stock photo when you use it in a website. But something like, even if you give a basic prompt, the final version of the model that generates the top-notch image today, there is still a very distinct difference between these two images. Do you see the bridge closing as the models evolve down the line?
Again, it is not the models, it's the prompt. So you have to add photorealistic in the prompt. So you have to, like, for example, that's what. So design is actually becoming so easier. It is almost overlapping with art. So I can actually get, or I can prompt an imagery or something that I want, and then I can say, make it like Picasso. It will actually give me in Picasso style. It will give me 3 options. Picasso can give only 1 option. Like Midjourney is great. So in all those, right, it's about experimentation. So initially, even I didn't understand the capability, but more you use, the more you experiment. So I, like, even if I don't use, I actually have the Midjourney subscription for the last 1.5 years. And whenever I get an idea, I just go there and try to prompt it. So now photorealistic images are really great in even Midjourney. And I'll add some more context to this later part of it, where there is a lot more that you can make so that it understands the context of what you're asking.
Right.
Like product context, not like context that you're adding. Yeah, but it is about the more you. So a lot of people say the less information I have, the better. But then the more information you give the prompt, the A is better.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yep. So now that we do have an idea as to what works with AI and what doesn't work with AI, and from this discussion, we do understand one important thing, and that is And even though quite a few people still say AI is going to take all our jobs, AI is going to replace us, like Terminator is the future or something like that. Ultimately, it's the human beings who are using AI that actually make AI what it is and actually bring out the full potential. So it's just another tool that makes our work easier. So when it comes to making our work easier, what would you say would be like a quantifiable outcome that we've had using AI? For me at least, I did work in support, and when I came to marketing, I started off using AI. Like as soon as I walked in, people were like, use AI, your work is going to be a lot easier. You can keep up with everyone else. When it came to support, this was before AI even became a buzzword, before it became a thing. And what I noticed, or the change I noticed, was it helped me draft emails a lot better, especially very long emails that I had to send customers, such as containing like maybe 10 steps or something. Ultimately, it didn't lead to a call with a customer, but still, it did make the drafting work a lot easier. And I found myself sending a lot more emails, a lot more responses, and closing a lot more tickets as well. So, in a similar fashion, what changes or how more productive have you has AI made your work?
I can think of two instances. So one would be in terms of quality as well as in the velocity of content production, right? So basically when you start working on a block calendar, you would know this is what I want to produce. These are all the topics where I want to produce, right? So the initial research would be like say pre-AI times, we like Neeraja said, we would sit and read on Google, filter out all the information, go till 7 pages of Google to dig deep into that unique piece that we would want to highlight, right? Now it's like done in half a day for me as well as for my team. So the entire team as such, if I look at it, we are able to produce like two blogs, originally deeply researched long form blogs, with the distribution idea and strategy in like a week. So in a week I can say that, I can go ahead and, make two blogs live at a cadence, right? Which is not imaginable or practically workable like some 2 years back. So that is one use case I can think of. And another one is like, scaling outbound at a very large scale, right? So today, when you have tools like Clay or Apollo, right? So previously, what typically happens at outbound is your sales guys goes, sees your prospects, and then, tries to get some context and information to the person whom they're sending a cold mail, right? Maximum amount of cold mails, be it via email or LinkedIn email, would be like what, 10, 15 max. That too, you have to give a lot of context and send it. But with today, with tools like Apollo and Clay, it's like you can easily enrich the context and send outbound messages at scale, right? So my team like functions it on like an autopilot, right? We send messages like 100, 150 messages, everything hyper personalized, and send it out like, with a great response rate as well. So I would say in terms of velocity as well as the output quality, AI has improved the production quality a lot. What used to take weeks now gets done in days. Yeah.
Same thing I would like to add. Say it saves a lot of time. So the bus place. So as you said, right, as we were discussing, say we can do the research for there, but only thing is we have to make sure that it is right or not. That is the second require. But all the basic research works can be done. Say when we suggest content plan to a marketer, right? Say we put a theme. What are the relevant pain points we can get those from ChatGPT or PurpleGT or whatever the AI tool. So what are the pain points that the customer is facing? What needs to be told to the customer? Structure of the page. We can get all those things. And also say in order to rank better our page, Google as well as in AI overuse, right? Nowadays, SARPs are giving overuse. So all these things, right? We can get the help of ChatGPTs or AIs, so AI tools to find what are the where we are lagging with respect to content, images, or whatever things we lack. What is stucking us from getting into top 3 positions, getting into the traffic, what the user actually needs. So all these things can be done with the help of by using AI. It reduces a lot of working time, and it makes us to be fully aware and the sense to be fully occupied with other creative works. This is what I feel. Yeah.
I saw one follow-up question to some of the things that you said. Sorry, some of the things that you mentioned. We're talking about using AI in terms of data and all of that, right? So in that context, how has it helped you? Like previously, how long was it taking to like consolidate all the data? Because digital marketing, I think one of the most important aspects of it is being able to get those data points right, because a lot relies on the data that you're bringing out. But in terms of consolidating data, one, how much of time has it reduced and how effective is it? Do you still have to repeat the process yourself to verify that data, or how much of it do you think is actually accurate?
Okay. So, with respect to the data, right, we separate two distinct parts. So, in the first part, data from ChatGPT or Perplexity, whatever AI tools, that data part I'm not talking about. So, the data that we have in our own database,
Own analytics.
so, yeah, with our own analytics, that is reliable. In the sense we have the data there. So, even then also when we share reports and all, when we give insights and all, we need to check it with once again whether it is fine or not. The check has to be done. Yeah, but it is very useful in the sense eh, you don't have to create multiple reports. For say for a requirement, say some people want to see the same report in the different dimensions. So what we can do is like ask Zia or a bot make the tool work, say in whichever format you want to get the data. And also one more thing is data cleansing. So that can be done in a matter of seconds. In analytics. So those things would help. Yeah. It also gives, say, like you said, in the summary data, we have insights. So it can give you some basic insights of what the data is all about, and gives an idea of where we need to check. And also, you can set up alerts. So alerts when there is an anomaly, right? It can notify us. So instead of go and checking every day, every time and all, right? So it gets notified. We get notified. Yeah. So that in that way, A is helpful in the data analytics part. Yeah.
So also, Anji, you did mention about outbound growth as well, right? So yeah, I want to know, just to add on to that, what I did notice was when going through the testimonials given by many customers for Zoho Sales IQ, it was that even when it comes to customers engaging with their websites, they did notice an increase in the amount of like the in the ROI and returns they are getting because of the bot, well, AI we can say in this case, because this bot, even when there are no humans working at the time, like these bots do engage with the customers automatically. So regardless of the time, regardless if a human's gone for a break or anything, the bot is still there, it's still working. And also you don't really have to pay the bots as much as you used to. So yeah, that does work quite well when it comes to automatic. And how we incorporate AI into our lifestyle or like in our work here, what are some of the myths you found that you debunked with using AI? Like one was AI taking over our jobs. So when you make our work easier, but it's definitely not going to take our jobs.
So
Okay, you guys may be confident that AI is not taking a job. AI is taking my job. Okay, like for example, there are like I think last month I fumbled on something called Galileo AI. Okay, and let's say you prompt and ask. The first option is you want a web output or a mobile output, and then from there you can actually prompt something. So give me a landing page for a food delivery um, app, and then it actually gives a very clear framework to work on. The shocking part is it gives you Figma outputs. So you can copy this from Figma, you can just paste in Figma, and if you understand Figma, the Figma output is auto layouted. It is not even just a screen.
yeah,
So the beauty with auto layout is if you want to resize, if you want to make things come down or go up or rearrange it, the layout doesn't change. So if you actually drag one picture from there, everything else will go and fit there. So it is that good. And Galileo AI, like not a lot of people have heard about it. So going forward, like and there is one thing you can actually copy that and paste it in ChatGPT and say, get me HTML, and gives you HTML code. So I almost built a site, and then with HTML code I did not know what to do. So I hashed the HTML code. So AI is actually taking away my job at least. But one thing is you have to be aware as much as how you can utilize it so that it doesn't take your job. So there must be somebody who understands to tell this to AI.
Yeah.
So that's why if you notice from the beginning, I actually use ChatGPT or I use a lot of AI tools so that AI doesn't take my job. So you have to understand and work with it parallelly, and AI is growing really fast. So you have to update yourself really fast.
True. When it comes to AI growing really fast, I heard about Galileo only last year. And I did ask one of my friends about it as well. And he, we did a screen share. And I said, hey, let's do this. We can come up with something and see how it works. That just for the sake of it. And yeah, we did have the finger problem there too. But as you mentioned, like this year, it seems that the finger problem is
Yeah.
non-existent.
Yeah. Technically, Galileo is not the image generation. It's so the finger problem happened in Midjourney. So it gives you 6 fingers and all this thing. So this is even for this image is generated somewhere else. So this is only the Figma generation of an application or a landing page. So for example, like we know how long it took to actually come up with the landing page. Right now, you can actually do it in a prompt, and then it will give you 3 options, and then you can say, okay, change the color, and it will give you. So you don't have to chase me like my old manager. Yeah, so it's like that.
So
Very close.
one of the myths that I personally, debunked was like, so I had the impression that, you should know a lot of prompt engineering, right? How to prompt and get out of it. But when I started using it, it was as easy as using Google, right? It's about how versatile you are as you start to get to know your AI tools, right? So let's rewind 5 years back, right? So someone who just searches for like best CRM blog will have like what a million answers. But someone who searches best CRM blogs, colon Zoho, will know how to filter out the blogs that Zoho has written. And because probably he or she would know that Zoho is the industry leader in the CRM, they would actually want to read the first set of blogs, right? So how do you actually use Google, right, with prompts, with semicolons, when you want to just refine your search to research papers? Those guys had an edge over it, right? So I kind of see the same parallel with AI today, right? So the first thing I said to ChatGPT when I realized that I have to amp up my velocity using AI, I was like, how do I use you, right? Like, what are all the 5 things that you can actually simplify for me, right? Or hey Claude, right? How do I actually get the best out of it, right? So you don't need to actually know prompts. You don't actually need to know any of the flashy stuff. If you open up your Instagram today, there will be a dozen reels selling you PDFs, selling you this prompt courses like 2 hours energy intense workshop where you sit and learn prompts. You don't need any of that, okay? All you need is an account, and you just need to have that mind space to go and seek and learn, right? It will guide you as how to use it the best. So that is one of the personal myths that I have debunked it for myself. Yeah.
Carry to that, right? So we need to make sure that is ensure about what we need in the first place. If we know what we need, we can make the chat GPT or other AI tools work for us. So knowing what we need is one thing that is setting humans apart from AI. So that's what I see as a AI not getting into picking up our jobs. That's all. Now adding to this, a question for all the marketers. So when you guys come to us with the requirement, do you guys actually know what you need? this is this because like okay, so it was very hard earlier.
I'm giving a +1 on the question.
No. When I was a
My team.
when I was a junior designer, that was the case. Okay, then like it's about understanding the people you work with. But then the first level or the first couple of months, right? It's very hard to understand what they're asking because one, we don't understand the context of marketing, right? So the English that you guys speak is different from the English that we speak. That goes with any department or like for example, sales speaks differently, product speaks differently, development speaks differently. So when a requirement is given to us, we just blank, right? As designers, and then so now that barrier has been broken. So for example, what you were saying, right? So you can slowly prompt, and then you can come to a conclusion that this is what I want, at least, and then you can actually show this and I want something like this, but change this and this, right? Because now that is what I've seen, which is making work faster, which is at least people who come to us for a very specific requirement. It's okay when for example, if they let us free, then it's okay. But then, like the first time founders make this a lot where they want something, but they will not show that to us. So they would have seen something in LinkedIn, right? And then they want exactly that in our color guidelines, but they'll not show that image. Or probably they would have seen it some time back and they would have forgotten it, and some other imagery will be in their brain, not even that imagery. So it's very hard to understand human input. But then now AI is making it easy because at least you have a canvas and you see the layout, and then you see the colors, you see the elements in that, and then you say, okay, change this and this to what I want, and then they're happy. So yeah, that's where it's making both of our life easier and blurring the lines, where we can understand what you want, and like you can understand how you can actually get work from us.
I think one of the, I wouldn't say it's a myth, but I think one aspect of learning how to use AI has been um, how you, because AI is moving at like great speed, like, it's constantly updating itself, it's constantly learning new things. So I think one of the things that we need to do is just make sure that we're also in that process of learning, like for example, if you take product marketing, or if you take just like being able to rank organically, I think Google keeps changing its algorithm. And I think before you use AI to understand or to sort of generate, a model of what a great page would look like, or like a page that should rank organically would look like, you need to first go and understand how those changes are happening or what's actually changed. Because without that, it's very difficult to put into perspective what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you, because AI can not give you that perspective. There's a lot that we need to take into account, like maybe as marketers and maybe even as a designer, like what's going to work for your product is something only you can tell. AI cannot tell that. What sort of blog, or what sort of data points are relevant to a particular product is only something that you can tell. It's not something that AI can ever tell. Like likewise, I think when it comes to social media, what should go on social media, you can generate multiple ideas through AI, but then at the end of the day, what needs to be posted there, what's in line with Sales IQ's brand, or what that voice should be like, is only something that as individuals or as a team, you make that decision. That's not something AI is ever going to make for you. So I think that perspective, if that perspective among people is really strong, then I think AI cannot take over our jobs. But once we start, depending on AI to even get that perspective, then we've already let AI take over everything.
I think that's what people are saying. So now kids don't even think, they ask ChatGPT. So I think in our ages people said the same thing. Okay, kids don't think, they Google everything. So like at least we've not like we're not that dumb at least now, because anyway that is the evolution, I guess. So it's very important what Neeraja was saying, which is you have to know what you're going to finally do with everything that you consume, and then you must be able to be a good judge to actually say this is what I'm pushing out, and that's what matters.
And on the point of prompting as well and knowing what to prompt, uh, what I think might happen in the future, or might how AI might evolve at least. Like how earlier we had the search engines, and now we have AI, and now we have Gemini as well. So if we search for something, we don't, at least most of the time, or sometimes we don't really go to the search results themselves. Sometimes we just look at what Gemini is asking us, and we'll go along with it. True. Yeah. So would you say, like, in terms of evolution, like AI itself might replace search engines in a sort of manner?
It is actually doing it right now, is what I feel, right? I don't remember, in at least in the last 2 months, I don't remember even searching for something in Google, right? Yeah, I don't. I search for it in Perplexity, or I just use ChatGPT, right? So to give you a very crude example, right? My father is really comfortable with Internet Explorer. I really can't imagine using Internet Explorer, right? So the evolution from IE to Chrome, and I see the same evolution from Chrome to ChatGPT today, right? And now when you have DeepSeek coming up, right? So people say that DeepSeek is more conversational than what ChatGPT or Claude is. So I kind of see it like AI becoming a very normal kind of thing. Now integrating AI, be with your Siri or be it with your Bixby, looks like a major kind of innovation, right? I think 5 years down the line, everything will be like AI would be very normalized. That's how I see AI evolving, right? Not at a very super functional scale, but in a more layman terms of making life very easier, right? So how IoT systems are very much interconnected today. 5 years back, Alexa was like only for the privileged, right? Now even kids use Alexa to do homework. Everything is like very remotely connected and everything. So that's how I actually see AI evolving in a more day-to-day usage basis, and the friction or barrier to use AI kind of becoming non-existent.
Okay, that is true. And well, when talking about evolution in terms of your profession or in your line of work, how would you say AI is evolving?
I mean, it actually makes, okay, it shapes my perception is what I would say. So for example, right, especially just to recall Prudent AI, you're a category creator and I don't have any reference for a competitor, and it's very hard. So there are three perceptions, right? Your perception of your product, the customer's perception of your product, and then the market's perception of your product, right? So the first two things you can easily get. The third thing is very, very hard to find and measure, right? So one thing I would always have is I will have a line of reference. I'll put it in ChatGPT, and then I'll ask it to validate my hypothesis. Once it's validated, I would say, okay, now play the devil's advocate. Okay, whatever you said is fine. Come up with strong points that it's completely false, right? So I ask it to play both sides of the points. So it it actually changes my perception of looking at things, changes my perception of the way I see things, the way I actually push my team to get things done, or the way even we roll out content at a very great quality is something what we actually do. So one other, I mean, if you're not short of time, one other example that I can actually give is like so when you want to actually write blogs, especially in a space where it's very niche, right? So one of the leaves that I took out of Rocket Lane's playbook is like, imagine you're going to write a book in that space and consider each topic as chapters, and how would you go about building blocks. I just took out the leaf literally and implemented it, right? So one beautiful thing that I saw out coming was like each chapters were like very well defined, and I just prompted Claude, okay, now these are all chapters going into book. I wanted like refine it to me and give it away like these goes as blogs in my website. It did a great job of doing it. Now I wouldn't have even have that line of thinking if not Claude wasn't there. So, in a nutshell, I would say I evolve. My thinking evolves. The more I use AI, my perception of looking at things, my perception of looking at data points actually evolve. The more I use AI, the more I get comfortable with how I am using it. Yeah.
Say, I would like to say that Koita, say AI, the ChatGPT or Perplexity at the Koita, they gives you the summary. They make use of the available all the data from Google, other third-party sites. That's what I believe to say. All the data are available everywhere, but it uses the easy way of accessing it. So it makes us a life easier. So that's how it is evolving right now. That is how I see. Because it's not going to compete and all. I'm not very sure of. Let's see how it goes. But you need some data, since websites and web pages speaking about your product, so that you get well featured in AI or use and AI things, right? So ultimately, everything is there. What I see is every data, every pages, everything is there. It gives you an overview. It gives it makes you less work. That's what I feel.
I think one thing when Ranjani was saying, I've not used Google for a long time. You would have used Google, but you don't use Google in the way you used earlier.
Yeah.
Which is, you search something and then you go pages by pages. You just read the summary of what gives you on the top, And I think Google is evolving in a different way where we read the summary, or at least I read the summary and then leave. Because I'm asking a question. So earlier I have to go into a website, let's say a Reddit page or something, and then I have to see context in it. So let's say I want to actually erase an image, or I have some doubt in design. I'll actually search that, and it'll be embedded in some Reddit page, and it'll show up, and then I have to go and read everything. Now if I ask, that will be summarized, and it will be like in the first two lines, and then I read it and close it. So at least the way I use Google is different from how I used Google a year ago.
When we're talking about the evolution, I think to add on to what Ranjani said, it's sort of like the ChatGPT or any sort of AI. I think earlier what we were looking at it as something that's very inaccessible has just become a verb now. Like just like how we used to say, Google this, is just ChatGPT this. So it's just become that accessible. And I think where it's evolving in terms of at least to put it in the context of, say, a marketing context, like in terms of product marketing and in terms of the content marketing and the work that we do, I think where it's sort of evolving is being able to write like how you write. So I think that's where it's evolving. Like, for example, like you talk to the AI regularly, and you sort of feed it samples of how you've written in the past, or how you like the last 5 blogs that you've written, or the last 5 web pages that you put out for your product. I think it's not there yet, but I think the future is that it's going to be able to go through all of those samples and generate something exactly in the manner that you would generate. Like, I think in terms of we ourselves don't know the kind of patterns or the repetitions that we fall into when we do this work regularly, because it's just it's like clockwork for us. We just come in, we do this, but I think where it's evolving is going to be able to identify those patterns clearly and replicate you as a human being. I mean, not take over you as a human being, but at least replicate your patterns of thinking as a human being. And I think the only way for us to sort of beat that is for us to just keep continuously developing our perspectives and like improving our judgment on things.
Well, those are very interesting takes on how AI will evolve in the future, and it seems like the only way and AI will try to be more human than human beings themselves at this point, because as you mentioned, it is shaping the way we think, the way, and in a way that is helping us learn as well, helping us form new perspectives on things, how to improve our approach to certain issues, certain problems as well. And it seems like the only way for us to beat AI at this is to be more creative, more innovative, more human for a matter.
You can't beat AI. It's like internet, right? So we are living on top of internet. So there'll be a time where we are living on top of the AI. So you can't beat it. You'll never be able to. So, but then you can actually adapt to it, and then use it as much as possible as your ally.
All right. So in the session here, we discussed quite a bit. We discussed about how AI is evolving, how we use AI, also what the drawbacks and myths of AI that we did debunk. Now, based on all of this and based on your experience with using AI, what are some tips you would give to any new product marketers or any product marketers right now?
I would say be more specific, give more context when you use AI. Be very specific. Okay, so I can tell two things. It's the simple thing, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If you ask AI to write a blog on like DeepSeek, ChatGPT is gonna just throw you like it's a China-based model, and it's not very resource intensive. It's not GPU intensive. It's very like far end of what it is today, right? But you prompt it more. You ask how its training model is different, why it's consuming only low CPU, GPU energy, or like why you are asking that question in the first place. It gets the whole context, and it will give you very contextual answers. So my first point would be is like be specific, ask more specific pointed questions, give more context to it. And it also relates to the point like AI can't think for you, right? That's what we collectively agree, right? So AI can take any subject concept, or your work item from 1 to 100, but it cannot do 0 to 1. That 0 to 1 should come from you. So you have to be like very specific on what you want your model to solve, or it's more like how you want it done, like, or what is the output that you're looking at, rather than in what ways it should actually do. Leave that work to AI. Just be very specific on how you want the output to be done, and why you want that specific output, and what is the context you have, and what is the output parameters that you want to measure it against. So be very specific, ask very pointed questions, give it more context, do your research before going to ChatGPT is what I would say.
And you do that by say we are intelligent, humans are intelligent. First we need to get ourselves believe. Yeah. Say he has all that. Say all the things. Say if you say this something is good, you throw all the good things about it. It's just bad. You throw all the bad. It's up to us, right? So we need to be. That's what we need to be so clear and precise about what we want and how we get the things done. That's what I feel. So
Think adding on to what both of them said, I mean, I really agree with the fact that you need to be very specific and detailed when you're sort of trying to make any conversation with AI. And I think apart from that, there's also as marketers or as designers or as social media marketers, what we need to clarify within ourselves versus that what is it that we are going to designate to AI. I think that needs to be very clear from our side. Like I think for me, it's always been I'm going to do the blog post completely on my own. But if I need a summary, I will get AI's help to generate it. I'm going to do the social media captions by myself. But I will use ChatGPT or any AI to just generate a few hashtags so that it can also give me the data on whether these hashtags are being used or not. So I can also verify that whether these are hashtags that actually have like a lot of posts that come under them. So I think these are things that we sort of need to first of all designate for ourselves that okay, I'm going to do this completely by myself, or I'm going to do this from scratch, or I'm going to build it up till here, and only after that move to AI. So that sort of clarity we all need to have in our work before we even approach AI.
Yeah, I think I'll take bits and pieces of what everyone said, what you said as well. So it's like you can't beat AI, so make it your ally. So that becomes where you understand, you train it, you give more context, you make it your friend, and then you tell everything that you know, and then you ask everything it knows. And yeah, I think it will be like make it your friend. Yeah.
All right then. So today we saw how AI is used in marketing and the different fields related to marketing too, such as designing and social media marketing too. And we did see a couple of myths being debunked and also a couple of drawbacks that AI faces currently and also how it's going to evolve in the future. And I hope everyone learned quite a few things today because I'm sure I did. Now, before we come to the end of discussion, we do have a rapid fire round called Bot Blast for everyone. So, is everyone ready for the Bot Blast? Yes. Guys, so in the Bot Blast round here, I'm giving rapid fire questions and we are going to give the answers as short as possible and try to answer them as quickly as possible. Or we'll move to the next person, but we'll come back to you after as well. All right, so the first question, which one of the particular benefits of AI for marketing you're so used to now that it would be hard for you to roll back and not use one of those benefits?
Research.
Research.
monitoring.
Summarization.
Getting options for the designs.
Okay. And now moving on to the next question. If you get the power to use a memory charm, let's call this memory charm or Obliviate, to remove the memory of AI from the mind of marketers worldwide, would you use it? If yes, why? If no, why?
Actually, no, because I want them to give me better prompts or better explain me better things. So yeah, let that be there. So no.
No, I wouldn't use it. I think because like I'm so used to sort of using it for some of my regular work and it's helped me a lot. So I think I really don't want to do any harm to this world by removing it.
Same, no. Saves time. It makes your work easy. So,
Yes, because marketers have forgotten to write. The originality is just, it's gone. So yes, the writing part is on steroids. So for that reason, I would want marketers to bring their flair to their writing. So yes.
Okay. Uh, all right. Third question. For which activity do you think marketers are overusing AI and you want them to stop? I'll start from here again because I know the answer.
Yeah, writing. So even I use it for writing. Even I use it for content. So no issue. Yeah.
Voice AI, like generating the either for reels or any sort of voiceovers, because I think it just the emotional quotient of it is just completely gone when it's generated through AI, and I really don't feel like listening to that video anymore once I hear the voice.
people are using summaries. So they're not reading properly. That's what I get. Yeah.
Writing.
We got it. Okay. And then if you can give one of your marketing tasks forever to AI, which one would you gladly hand over?
Start with somebody else.
Maybe
They come back.
Research.
research.
Reporting.
Report.
I think organizing, like, organizing all my files and everything in order, because there's just too many draft 1, draft 2, draft 3 that I keep writing all the time. So, yeah, so organizing all of it has to go to AI. I love doing the research, I love doing all of the other work, but just the organizing part has to go to
I
AI.
actually didn't think of that. That's a very good idea because I have final,
Yeah.
final, super final.
Everyone has that. So for me, it's going to be resizing. So we do one creative and they say we want it in 10 different sizes. And then it takes 3 days where the creative only took 1 day. So yeah, if that can be taken up by AI, then
That's great. Okay, and the last question of the podcast. What's something that AI can't do yet that would make your life easier? Mansky.
No, I'm thinking through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vicky.
Knowing what we want. Knowing what we.
Being able to do like a completely thorough competition analysis, because that's something that we ourselves are not able to do properly, and there's really not enough data. Like, give me proper insights as to this is what my competition is doing better than me, and these are areas I can improve. That's something that I've not been able to generate through AI yet. So if there's a way, I'd like to learn how. Yeah.
yeah, so technically it can be seeing what your competitors are doing. Like let's say if there is an event, we have to, like, there's a yearly calendar, right? If I just give the yearly calendar to AI, it must actually give me everything and then it must post it. So technically now we see what they do, or we see what other people are doing and what festival is coming and things like that, and then we are doing it, right? So because now everything is a prompt, and everybody for Christmas, everybody gonna wish everyone happy Merry Christmas, right? So if that is automated and I don't have to look at it anymore, right? And all these frozen things can be published by itself, and then attribute like that. Like translate.
Be a Jarvis to Iron Man, right? So I would want an AI agent to think like me, to strategize for me, to exactly anticipate what I'm going to ask, and then customize the way I want it, instead of feeding it in bits and pieces.
Okay, that's great. All right, guys. So that would be the end of the podcast round and the end of our webinar today. I hope it was fun and I hope everyone learned something today. Thank you.